an hour southwest of San Antonio right now. That's where an ICE detention facility. Currently, we know that there are protesters out there along with members of ICE. We do understand that members of Congress were planning to take a tour there. Let's go ahead and get out live to our reporter, Taylor Wordenby, who's joining us live out there as there was a bit of a dust up out there. Taylor, what do we know?
I don't hear anything.
Look at me. Is that how y'all get off? Is that how you get off? Y'all taking pictures for y'all Grindr account? Y'all fashion pigs?
All right, and we are standing by right now to get a live report from Taylor Wordenby, who's live on the scene again. You are looking at a detention facility about an hour southwest of us in Dilley, Texas. We do know that that's where the 5-year-old little boy, along with his dad, who is from Ecuador, were taken after being picked up and detained out in Minneapolis. Let's go ahead and see if we can go back out live to Taylor. Taylor, do you got us now? Set the scene for us.
Hey guys, it's Taylor here with News 4 San Antonio and Fox SA. We are live here in Dilley at the South Texas Rehabilitation Center, where we had protesters here and the congressional delegates visiting the facility. Now the vigil, those that were over at the vigil, the organizers and the protesters, they came over here to Dilley, and just moments ago, this was a full scene. And then this is when DPS had told everyone to get back, and they put through the tear gas grenades. And everyone here in this area, you could see the effects that it has. Water is being thrown onto everyone's eyes. We've had medics here, people on the ground getting some medical attention. You can see this happening all over here, putting water into their eyes as you see people just hovering, covering their eyes and their mouth, because we got hit with it too while we were out here. We were over by our vehicle, and you could just immediately feel the burn going into your lungs. You're just coughing, eyes completely watering over the effects of the tear gas grenades hitting the surrounding area. You can see right back here the DPS office troopers all in riot gear as this is all happening and unfolding. You can see the coughing of people. They're still surrounding here, but they are still having these effects of the tear gas.
Y'all are all gonna be on trial.
Lots of people very upset here. But it did get quiet ever since that did happen. We've seen some people heading onto the bus back to San Antonio, other surrounding areas. But a lot of people just standing in the streets, just really upset, chanting, screaming, just upset of just what had happened and unfolded just moments ago. Again, tear gas grenades were thrown into the crowd. You can see people walking around wet their waters as they try to cope with what the effects of the tear gas grenade. Like I said, we were hit with it moments ago as it was coming out. We were hit with it, coughing, eyes watering. You can see over here, if you want to pan over there, we can see the amount of water over this area. We'll head over here and see.
Hey, Taylor, if you can hear me still.
A lot of people being treated for this.
Yeah, Taylor, if you can hear me
still. A lot of people
so you said
on
that
the ground.
You were there and you were also hit with that tear gas.
As this is all unfolding.
What happened moments before, if you can hear me, Taylor? What
now,
happened
were you
moments before
both in the front
and
to see what had happened?
Huh?
No, you were both
Oh,
in the
no,
front?
I wasn't. My friend got arrested.
They got arrested?
Yeah.
And now, can you tell me what happened to the moments leading up to?
I wasn't there.
They just threw gas. They just threw gas to control the people.
Yeah.
And they were like in the driveway, and then, as usual, they resort to inhumane tactics, and they just threw gas at everybody.
But you can still, everyone
It
is
was
coughing.
it was not tear gas. It was something very much stronger that required something very strong for the medics to put in their eyes. It was not just it was just not tear gas. It was some kind of chemical, because everybody was immediately choking and gasping for air and life.
Absolutely.
So,
a lot of water here. I mean, just breathing here, it's hard. You're coughing. Everyone is coughing around.
Yeah, it was a chemical. They put a chemical on them. They did not do tear gas. They did some kind of war shit that you are not supposed to put on people. Yeah, it was not tear gas.
How does that make you feel? Everything has just unfolded moments ago.
They can't even fucking de-escalate a crowd of folks. Then why the fuck are they even employed there? If they cannot control a crowd of people without treating people like animals, how are they even doing what they're doing? It's just, it was insane because I was driving and the DPS treated us better than these motherfuckers.
So again, we're here. You can see the officers all lined up in their riot gear as this is all unfolding.
All right, Taylor, thank you so much for that, and apologies for the language there. Obviously, a developing situation out there, as we are going to try to get Taylor back on the phone to maybe perhaps ask some questions of her. The woman there that was describing the scene to Taylor, saying that in her opinion, in her mind, she didn't feel as if it was tear gas that was deployed. She said that perhaps she felt it was something else, as people, as she described it, immediately began choking and couldn't breathe. Of course, Taylor, our reporter there on the scene, also describing the same. We do know that this is going to be the detention facility down in Dilley, Texas, roughly about an hour southwest of San Antonio. I believe, Taylor, we do have you back on the air with us. Let us know what it was like moments before that chemical or that tear gas was deployed. Was there a skirmish? Was there pushing and shoving? Was there a warning before it was deployed?
So what I will say is we had tons of people that came from the vigil over here to the detention center, and they were all lined up here. They were by this yellow line that we see over here, if you want to pan. They were by this yellow tape that you see over here. And then moments ago, we've seen the officers push back, kind of tell everyone to get back. There was a few warnings. And then we saw them with force go in, and then you just seen those grenades flying over the people. That's when I first saw it. And then just moments after you saw the grenade flying is when you felt that effect of those tear gas grenades, the burning, the coughing, your eyes watering. You know, thankfully we had lots of water in our work vehicle because it was hard to deal with at that moment. It took a few minutes to actually feel back to normal. We've seen just over here lots of people getting help. Take a look right over here. This person over here is just getting some type of liquid into their eyes. And a lot of people here still have soap, water. So this scene right here is very different from what we've seen earlier. It did clear out. It is much shorter, not as impactful as it was earlier that we've seen. A lot of people did head out. The buses did come and get them. But as you can see over here, it's still very active. We got lots of DPS vehicles right along here.
Oh, okay, like far.
Yes.
And Taylor, before we let you go,
again, more people.
Before we let you go, we know that part of the reason they were there was because some of our lawmakers were planning to take a tour of that facility after reports of inhumane situations down there. We know that Congress members were there. Do we know if they are still on the scene or if they've since left, or do we have any idea about that?
Yeah, that's a good question. We've seen them come in earlier just before 11 p.m. We've seen them then, and then we haven't seen them afterwards. And this area where they did come in at has been blocked with the officers as well as the protesters. So maybe they went out a different way, but we have not seen them yet, and we haven't heard anything from those that came to visit here today.
As far as the folks who are out there demonstrating right now, knowing that there was a chemical that was deployed out there, have they indicated to you that they plan to stick around, or if they're going to be heading out anytime soon, or what are things looking like right now?
Yeah, right now, like I said earlier, it was much more of a larger crowd. A lot of people did head out, but right now people are just trying to get away from those effects that they are enduring from the chemicals. A lot of groups over here getting water into their eyes. So they're sticking around just so they feel better. We still see protesters, they're still here, and they're right in front of these officers. They are so very angry.
Now, Taylor, you are eyes on the ground there, and you kind of described that there was some warning perhaps from DPS, but from your vantage point, did you see any physical pushing or shoving before anything happened?
So from my vantage point, we were over by our vehicles right over here. The crowd was pretty huge. We had seen and heard some of the officers telling people, the protesters, to get back. And then that's when we saw some pushing and shoving going on. And moments later, that is when we saw those tear gas grenades go off. And it looked to be, there was about 2 of them that I saw. And then you've seen this white sort of mist come into the air, and it filled it so quickly. everyone had felt it almost immediately.
All right, Taylor, thanks a lot for that. We'll check in with you in just a moment. But again, to set the scene for folks who are just joining us right now, a bit of a skirmish there in Dilley at one of the detention facilities where we do know that lawmakers were planning to take a tour. This is the same facility that a 5-year-old, along with his father, who are from Ecuador, well, they were picked up while in Minnesota and brought to that detention facility. We had just reported last night that there were some indications that perhaps there were some inhumane conditions in there, moldy food, possibly worms in the food, things of that nature that were being reported. That so far has not been confirmed, but that is one of the reasons that is why Democratic lawmakers were planning to take a tour of that facility. In conjunction with that, we do know that there were vigils that were planned not too far down the way, and that's what Taylor was describing, that some of these folks had come from other gatherings, if you will, and folks who are protesting right now the ongoing immigration debate that rages on throughout the entire country. We know right now that the focal point had been in Minnesota, as it remains, but thus far it is now in our backyard, just down the road in Dilley, where a lot of people are demonstrating. Again, if you're just joining us, the reason we're coming on the air is because we do know that DPS agents and others there at the detention facility did deploy some sort of chemical. Our Taylor Wharton, being the reporter on the scene there, describing it to us, saying that once it did hit the ground, it was difficult for them to breathe. It was difficult for them to see. They started to flush out their eyes, and that's some of what it is that we're seeing right now. Taylor describing DPS was warning the group that was there to get back. At one point, she did mention that there was possibly, again, we're waiting to see it for ourselves, possibly some pushing and shoving that had gone on, but that there were some warnings from the agents or DPS folks that were on scene there. We did hear from one of the other ladies just a short time ago who was part of that crowd, who said, in the quote there, is that she said, while they did say something in her mind, the quote was, they're using inhumane tactics. She said that it is uncalled for. Of course, she did use some expletives. We do know that at this moment, tensions remain high there on the scene, as you can see. Roughly a dozen to a dozen and a half DPS agents who are holding the line there. Again, this is a detention facility, a facility down in Dilley, Texas right now, as we continue to monitor this situation. We do know that right now the tension, not just here, but across the country as it comes to the debate of immigration and the current handling by the Trump administration, it is a flashpoint for many folks. That is why we are keeping our eye on it as it continues to develop. And we can tell you right now that we were in the newsroom kind of monitoring all of this. And once we did see that cloud of white smoke that was above some of the reporters, because we can tell you that there's a slew of reporters there, not just locally here, not just from across the state, but also from across the country. And if we're going to say that possibly from around the world as well, because all eyes are on the U.S. right now. And as this story continues to develop, we do know that there are many members of the media there in Dilley right now, along with those others who had gathered for whether it was a vigil, whether it was a protest, and have since kind of come together where they're at right now. But that is why we're coming on air right now to give you an update there on the ground as we see it. We know that Taylor was planning to file reports. She certainly will be filing reports for us coming up at 5, 6, and in 10 as well. But as it warrants, we certainly will be keeping our eyes on it and cutting into regularly scheduled programming to bring you the very latest. But right now, again, to set the scene, there was some sort of a chemical deployed on the protesters there just outside the detention facility where lawmakers are taking a tour of that facility, and there are protesters there whom that chemical, whichever it was, and we're working to get confirmation on exactly what it was that was deployed. Let's go ahead and head back out to Taylor right now to get a better idea of just how many protesters, again, because this is going to be a mix of media that we see out there along with protesters. Taylor, we know that earlier you said it was a large crowd of protesters who gathered, but then you had since said...
Wait, no cursing.
You had said that some of those protesters had since moved on. Give us a sense of just how many protesters are still out there right now from what you can see.
We're not sure what's happening right now. We don't know.
Okay. And of course, this is a fluid situation. Taylor, can you hear me at all or no?
Yes, I can hear you. We are here still at Dilley. The scene is pretty much the same. We just need to see a few more DPS troopers just come out. We don't know what's exactly happening right now. I want to let you tune in so you can hear this.
I'm ordering you to leave the premises.
They are ordering the protesters to leave.
Go back to your vehicle or go back to the bus.
So yes, we still have protesters that are here. Few DPS troopers that came over here. Does this make you want to leave? What happened?
No, my eyes hurt, but these guys need to be stopped.
Were you in the front of when this happened?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
They just started throwing stuff, and people pushed, and then they started doing tear gas or pepper spray. I don't know what. It was in canisters.
You don't believe, what kind of chemical do you think it was?
Probably pepper spray. I'm burning like hell, but I've never been tear gassed before, so I don't know.
How does this make you feel? I know you said you're not leaving.
It makes me feel mad because we were peacefully protesting. The people have the right to do this. We need to stand up against the American Gestapo, and now we're punished for it, but we're going to keep standing up.
Now that they're telling people to leave, what are your thoughts on that? Does that make you want to go or anything like
I
that?
I probably will at some point, but I'm on the street. This is public property, so I don't see why I have to leave.
And how are you feeling now?
I'm a little bit, I have tears coming down my eyes, but sunglasses help. I've got water. I'll be all right.
Immediately felt that. And
it made me cough and start, my nose, everything burning.
A lot of people we've seen hit the ground, and immediately there were some medics around here.
Yeah, there was somebody pouring saline into my eyes, into people's eyes. That was really helpful. Yeah, every breath burns a little bit, but again, standing up for our rights here. If we don't stand up for our rights, they take them.
Yeah, there were hundreds here, you would say, right?
Yeah.
And it was peaceful.
Yeah, it was peaceful. The most I saw, a little bit of pushing when they were pushing us.
There will be trials.
And you don't think anything escalated other than what had happened?
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I did
and
not
there was
see
about
it.
two, I would say.
Huh?
There was about two grenades that were thrown.
Yeah, they were in that area up front.
Now, when you seen them come out in the riot gear a little bit earlier, what were your initial thoughts?
They were coming out of a school bus from Dilley ISD, so that's interesting. Dilley ISD is using their school bus full of state troopers, so I knew something was going to go down. I put on my mask, but I didn't think they were actually, I just thought they were going to threaten. It didn't seem like it was appropriate to start gassing people or pepper spraying.
Yeah, definitely a scary situation, you would say, for yourself?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, so you can see, if you want to take a look, you can see the DPS troopers still lined up right here. The protesters, we still have some on the left-hand side that are still here. We're going to continue to walk down a little further where you can see more people. A lot of people still have their water bottles here out here.
Taylor, we do know that, as we heard, their DPS telling folks to leave the premises or go back on the bus. From what you can see, are people doing that, or are they staying there on the scene?
We have a few people that are heading out, but I would say for the majority of the people that remained here, they're sticking around.
Are most of the people that you're talking to out there, Taylor, from the San Antonio area, or where are they coming from to be here and witness this?
Yeah, Mandy, a lot of people I've talked to today, they're from San Antonio, and they came all the way up here today. But I've met some people from Austin as well. So I would say just the surrounding area.
And give us an idea of just how many folks are still there. We do know that you had mentioned the crowd was quite large, but now that things have happened, now that they were told to leave, give us a sense of just how many folks are still out there, if you could.
A few dozen. It's nothing like it was about an hour ago. There would be at least 100 or a little bit more, and this is what we have left that you see. A lot of people just standing around here. Still got people coughing. A lot of people that were here, they really got affected by that chemical that they were hit with. So they left and headed onto the buses that did bring them here.
So you can tell it's a very clear line where the tape is separating protesters from the enforcement side over there. How has the enforcement side changed? Have they all been lined up like that since you got there?
No. Earlier today, it was just a few officers when we first got here at 10 a.m. We were trying to get closer to the detention center. They turned us around. Then this road that you see right over here, this is where they told us to go. As the day went on and more people start to show up, that's when we've seen more of the law enforcement. But I would say just before 2 p.m., that's when we start to see a lot more DPS troopers that were in this riot gear. And this right now, what's happening right now, all of them lined up, this is very new. This is all very recent, within the last hour.
Taylor, we do know that there's a lot of passion out there by some of those protesters. In fact, the quote from the woman that you just talked with, she said, if we don't stand up for our rights, they'll take it. Any indication of what their plans are after this, or how long they intend to stick around for?
Well, I'm here with a few of them right now. How long do you tend to stay out here?
Right before they start arresting, because apparently standing on the road.
That's what they said. Even though we're on
There's a lot of passion out here, like we were talking about. Not leaving, you're staying until you have to go. What about that?
9 people have died just this year from ICE. 2 of them on video, people dying. One was at the beginning of the year because he was celebrating the new year. There are people in the detention camps that are dying. People are being taken off the streets illegally. And like, if this was a legal process, everyone had their due process, I wouldn't care. It's the fact that everything is being done illegally. People are being actively kidnapped by people that we don't know if they're safe. People are getting tortured. People are hurt in these camps, and there's nothing that we can do about it. I don't want to stand by idly while this kind of stuff happens. It's terrifying.
Tell me about the crowd. I know we were just talking about this on with my anchors. It definitely got much lower, the amount of people here.
I think a lot of people are scared because they know that they can and will kill us and not care, and nothing will happen against them. It's terrifying right now.
Thank you so much for your time. We
Of course.
appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
again, so more people are starting to leave. So all you're really seeing here is just a few people, bystanders, and again, just the media that are all here. But if you want to take a look down here to our left, you see a lot of medics that were already here. They're in the pink. They were here earlier. So you can see they're taking care of some people that were affected by the tear gas grenades or whatever chemical that was thrown here today.
And to be clear, Taylor, those medics were with the protesters, not with DPS and not with the detention facility, correct?
That's correct to note. Yes, they were here earlier with the protesters.
Have you talked to them at all? I'm wondering who organized and thought we should have a team of medics if there's going to be protesters.
That's a great question. We weren't able to get a chance to talk to them. We didn't notice them until after this all happened and when we saw them in action today.
Taylor, I know that we're kind of standing by, and I'm sure we're reaching out to the authorities to find out what all is developing out there. Do we know if any DPS is out there talking with media and or protesters to kind of give an idea of what's taking place and what's going to be coming next?
No, we don't see anyone willing to talk to us here today. All we're seeing right now is a few of the DPS troopers that you see right there. Again, we see the vehicles and then we see them all lined up right here, but that is all that we're seeing out here today. As far as someone to talk to us about what's happening, to give us some sort of statement, that's not going to happen right now. We're still looking to see if some of those officials will be willing to talk to us.
And other than DPS asking folks to leave the premises and go back to the bus, are they telling the protesters anything else?
No, that's all we heard. When you heard them on the loudspeaker telling them to leave, that's what we heard so far. And they haven't said anything thus far.
So the line of DPS troopers that we're seeing that's just lined up across the tape where you were earlier, have they given any commands? Have there been exchanges? And if so, what has been going back and forth between that line of DPS enforcement agents and the protesters?
Yeah, Mandy, so there wasn't much. It was minimal. We've seen some of those DPS troopers telling people to get back. That's really it. That was the exchange that we did see today, is telling them to get back, make sure they were behind that line. That's when they got the yellow tape up, making sure everyone was behind that. That's all we really seen. Nothing escalated other than what we seen just a little while ago. We are hearing something else if you want to tune in.
You're occupying these premises unlawfully and without permission in violation of state law. I'm ordering you to leave the premises. If you do not leave, you will be arrested and your vehicles will be towed. You have 5 minutes.
So I'm not sure if you did hear that, but they are ordering everyone here to leave the premises or their cars will be towed. So that was the last message that they just sent just now.
Yeah, they were saying if you don't leave, you will be arrested. Do you need to go, Taylor? Because we want to make sure that you're all right as well.
Yes, we are in a safe location. Of course, we would follow the law and get back but nothing has been said other than that. So we're just going to continue to move a little bit further away and still be able to give you some coverage of what's happening, so we can respect that as well.
To be clear, though, Taylor, that is going to be a public street that folks do have the right to be on, though. They were talking about if you're on the premises, you can be arrested, but they're not on the
right
premises.
It doesn't
so
look
they're
like
talking about
anyone
that
is,
over
yeah.
there. Okay.
So basically that turn-in is where they don't want
right.
anyone.
Correct, and that's where everyone was earlier. That's where they all gathered and they were chanting, and that's where they were protesting earlier. Now everyone has either left. You can see the last bit of people that is deciding to leave.
Are they leaving, or are they moving
here
to somewhere else?
A lot of people telling me that they are just heading down the road. They could be going back to the watermelon statue where this all began, the vigil and then the march that came later this afternoon.
All right, let's go ahead and reset to give folks who are just tuning in an idea of why it is that we're on right now. So there was a vigil just down the road from the Dilley Detention Facility where a 5-year-old and his dad, who are from Ecuador, who were detained in Minneapolis earlier this week, have been brought to this detention facility roughly an hour southwest of San Antonio. There was protesters out there along with the vigil and a march. They came to this detention facility where we also know that Democratic lawmakers are there taking a tour of that facility. And roughly about 30 minutes to an hour ago, there was a bit of a skirmish between some of the protesters and the DPS agents who had the line there, at which point members of the media, in fact, that's video of it right there, members of the media, along with those protesters, were hit with some sort of chemical. There's been some assumption that perhaps it was tear gas, maybe pepper spray of some sort, but it did cause folks to disperse immediately. They struggled to breathe. They struggled to see, including our reporter, Taylor Wardenby, who's on the scene right now. Since then, we do know that the crowd has thinned out significantly. Taylor described it as a few hundred, maybe 100 to 200 people that were out there. Now there's roughly a dozen. We do know that in the last, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes or so, DPS, who is still on the scene, was telling folks to disperse, to leave, that you've got to leave the premises, also threatening that they will be arrested, their vehicles also towed. And that brings you up to speed with where we are right now, roughly a couple of dozen protesters who remain out there, DPS still holding that line, but also telling folks that they need to leave and threatening to possibly arrest them.
Absolutely, Jonathan. Yeah. You can see it's cleared up right here. This is where the protesters were. They're holding the line. You can see the amount of DPS troopers that are still right there in their riot gear. Everyone that was here has sort of cleared out. We have a few people here, and this is just the media at this point. This was hundreds of people earlier. Now it's completely gone.
Taylor, you've been out there since around 10. This is a detention center in Dilley, Texas. There were members of Congress touring that facility. Do you know if they're still there?
That's a good question. We seen them come in. They had 2 black vehicles. They had the green light to go through. We seen them go in earlier this morning, but we didn't see them come out, and we haven't heard from them as well.
Taylor, do we know right now if there's anybody else that's perhaps out there protesters-wise that may still be in that restricted area where DPS is threatening to arrest them at all? Or can you tell if everybody has since crossed the street?
Let me take you over there to get a closer look at what we're seeing. So the protesters that were here, it's completely gone. We heard those 2 messages that they did send out over the loudspeaker telling them to get off the premises. People did follow that. We talked to people that were across the street. They're since gone. We've seen a lot of people start heading down the road now, but other than that, it is pretty much cleared up here.
Okay, Taylor Wardenby in Dilley, Texas, where there's a detention center. We know a 5-year-old and his father, who were taken by ICE in Minnesota, have been brought to this facility, which is why, to stir up the conversation, members of Congress were going here. Taylor, you got there around 10 a.m. And hundreds of people showed up to protest. Slowly, that drew more DPS agents who appear to be in riot gear there. At some point in the back and forth, one of the folks that you were interviewing said they started pushing us. Whatever happened back and forth, something was deployed that was an eye irritant, whether tear gas or pepper spray, into the crowd of protesters. I know you got some of it too. Your eyes were a little irritated. We're glad you're okay. It does look like some of them are walking away now. Someone got on a megaphone a little while ago saying, if you don't leave, you will be arrested. Your car will be towed. Since then, what you described as hundreds of protesters has really dwindled down. People seem to be listening. They don't want to be arrested. They have it looks like everybody, all of the protesters have gone. Just a couple members of the media with the tripods and the cameras there still remaining, as all of the DPS troopers, it appears, have walked away from where they were blocking that road.
Yeah, the crowd is significantly thinned out there right now. Of course, we've been following this developing story as it started all the way out in Minnesota, Minneapolis, and we will continue to follow it right now. We're going to be having live reports for you coming up at 5 and 6, as well as a full recap tonight at 10 o'clock. We'll also be streaming this right now on all of our social media platforms, on Facebook, our News 4 YouTube channel, and if it warrants, we will certainly cut back into programming right now. But we do have a crew there in Dilley, Texas, who is monitoring this situation right now at the ICE detention facility.
Very fluid. We were just sitting upstairs in the newsroom, kind of watching the live shot where you're at, Taylor, and all of a sudden we started seeing the protesters leaning down right when whatever they deployed into the crowd of protesters, it had happened. And people were just sitting there covering their eyes. And so we realized this has escalated a bit into something that we wanted to break onto the air with. If anything else happens, that is, as you mentioned, something that we will do again.
In the meantime, we will certainly see you back here at 5 o'clock with a full recap. Again, you can follow this developing story on our News 4 San Antonio Facebook page, along with our website. For now, we return you to your regularly scheduled programming.
I'm here. You hear me? Just say